Good morning and welcome to CBS News Mornings. It's just about 7 a.m. here in New York City. I'm Wendy Gillette. We begin with more legal trouble for Donald Trump. The former president is facing 13 new criminal charges this morning after being indicted by a Georgia grand jury. It's the fourth time Trump has been indicted in 5 months. Trump and 18 allies are accused of trying to overturn the 2020 presidential election results in the state. Jarred Hill has more.
New legal trouble for former President Donald Trump.
A Fulton County grand jury returned a true bill of indictment.
Georgia District Attorney Fani Willis late Monday with the 41-count indictment against the GOP frontrunner and 18 of his allies.
The defendants engaged in a criminal racketeering enterprise to overturn Georgia's presidential election result.
The indictment, unsealed before cameras, also names former White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows and Trump's one-time personal lawyer, Rudy Giuliani. The former New York City mayor, one of those accused of racketeering and conspiracy for allegedly putting in calls to pressure local officials and making false statements about election fraud. Overnight, Giuliani called the indictment part of a book of lies. Georgia's former Republican Lieutenant Governor, Jeff Duncan, testified before the grand jury yesterday.
My hope is that Americans believe us. My hope is that Republicans believe us.
The investigation was first sparked by Trump's January 2021 phone call with Georgia's Secretary of State.
I just want to find 11,780 votes.
Trump has maintained he didn't do anything wrong, and his campaign called the indictment election interference. Jarred Hill, CBS News, New York.
Joining us now to break down what comes next legally in the Georgia investigation is Nick Lewis. He's the founder and managing partner of the Lewis Law Firm in Washington. So according to the indictment, former President Trump and his allies have been charged with violation of the Georgia RICO Act. Can you explain the significance of adding a RICO charge, and what does the prosecution need to prove for a conviction?
Good morning, Wendy. Thanks so much for having me. Yes, the RICO inclusion here in this indictment is quite significant. It does a number of things, but most notably, I think it does a couple of things here. First, it allows the prosecutors to bring in conduct that happens outside of Georgia in order to help prove the criminal acts that happened within Georgia. And so if you go through this sprawling indictment, you'll see a lot of references to activity that takes place, say, in Arizona or Michigan or Pennsylvania or some of these other states where the former president and his lawyers and others involved were sort of seeking to overturn the election. The other thing that the RICO statute does here, obviously, is it allows the prosecutors here to stitch together all of this sort of conduct that you see laid out in quite a bit of detail in this indictment. So you have everything from the pressuring of state legislators and state officials, such as Brad Raffensperger, but you also have sort of breaching of voting equipment down in Coffee County, Georgia. So it allows the prosecutors here to tell sort of a cohesive narrative by pulling together all of these things and including, some 18, 19 different people within this, plus 30 additional unindicted co-conspirators. So really, it allows them to pull together all of this stuff. In terms of what they have to prove, the government is going to have to prove that there was a criminal enterprise here and that there was a pattern of racketeering activity. I think they really just need to show that there was multiple acts that were sort of part of this broader scheme. But as you can see in the indictment, they lay out, well over 100 different acts that they say were part of this whole plot.
Now, the DA, Fani Willis, says the indictment includes 41 felony charges in total, with 13 against the former president. From a legal perspective, would the other 18 defendants need to distance themselves from the former president to beat this racketeering charge?
Wendy, it's going to be fascinating to see how this plays out. In contrast to the special counsel Jack Smith's indictment, where it's sort of streamlined, Donald Trump is the only defendant that's actually named, and you have these unindicted co-conspirators. Here, as you say, you have Mr. Trump plus 18 other people. I expect that there probably could be a lot of finger pointing. There could be people who, some of the people who are named were part of this fake elector plot down in Georgia. I imagine they may come out and try to say, look, we we thought what we were doing was okay because, the former president's lawyers told us it was okay. We see Mark Meadows is named here where he wasn't named in the January 6th case. And I think a lot of people have sort of speculated about what he may or may not be doing in terms of cooperating with the government. So I think it'll be really fascinating to watch and see how this all plays out.
Definitely. Now, the DA says she wants a trial within 6 months. Do you think that's realistic with all of these defendants? And how could this affect the timeline of Trump's other cases?
I'd say 6 months for a case involving this many defendants is quite aspirational, to say the least. And there are, I think you all have shown already the timeline here. It's a packed schedule for the former president next year. He's got the criminal matter in New York, which is set for trial already in March. We know that the Mar-a-Lago classified documents case has now been set for May, which may or may not go in May. We're still looking for a trial date in the January 6th special counsel case. There's some indications that the judge there may try to move quickly, and the government has requested a trial date starting on January 2nd, which also seems quite ambitious. So it's really tough to see where this is going to fit in. And, as you alluded to earlier, you have all of these defendants who are going to be, they're going to have their own counsel. They're going to be making their own arguments. And so all of that is really going to slow this down.
Willis says Trump and the other defendants will need to surrender by Friday, August 25th. Is there a possibility anyone could be detained?
I would expect that everyone here will voluntarily surrender and cooperate. I think they want to avoid the sort of the specter of being detained. From what we've seen in the other cases involving the former president, it's sort of, it's been a bit of a formality. He's gone in, he's been processed, and then he's been arraigned and released on his own cognition. I expect that that's likely the case here. Now, we do have, there's some counts there that talk about intimidation of Ruby Freeman, who is an election worker, and that has a little bit more of a feel of, do we feel comfortable with people out there like that? But I expect that there probably won't be detention here in this case.
Nick Lewis, thanks so much.
Thanks, Wendy. Appreciate it.
Fellow GOP presidential candidates are reacting to news of Trump's fourth indictment. During a town hall last night, Vivek Ramaswamy said, quote, "These are politicized persecutions through prosecution." He added that it would be easier for him if Trump was not in this primary, but said it was not how he wants to win the election. Meanwhile, former Arkansas Republican governor and 2024 candidate Asa Hutchinson repeated his criticism of Trump, saying his actions disqualified him from serving as president again. Hutchinson has increasingly become a vocal critic of Trump as the race to 2024 continues. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy also weighed in, saying President Biden has weaponized government against his leading political opponent ahead of the 2024 election. McCarthy has defended former President Trump amid his indictments.